Creators of Reddit. What is the dumbest thing your client has done to ruin a case? Story 1. I was on a jury where the defendant showed up in court on day 1 wearing the same exact outfit as the unknown suspect in the video of the crime. It took only a few seconds before the judge immediately called a stoppage. All lawyers went into the back with the judge and they came out like 7 minutes later and announced the defendant had taken the plea deal. Wild. Opinion. Oh no, I forgot. This is my crime outfit. It's my crime outfit because it should be illegal to look this good. And because I wore it when I robbed that bank last week. Story 2. The client was being sued and didn't like the opposing counsel or the judge, so he left the court a bunch of voicemails so profane that he was subject to a criminal contempt of court hearing. Opinion. When you actually have contempt for the court. Story 3. With the utmost certainty in his voice, he yelled at the arresting officer that it is not domestic V. I am on public property. You could tell from his face he really thought he had the cop over a barrel on this one, but opinion. Do you hit her in the home? Oh no, I always make sure to be outside first. Story 4. Not my client, but the petitioner's attorney's client. The man claimed workers' compensation and threw the kitchen sink at us, meaning he basically listed just over half of his body parts on the claim petition stating he injured each one. He was full of it, and my firm knew it. Anyways, we were going to trial, and the day before we ran one more social media search. This absolute effing moron posted a video of him winning a breakdance competition that was only a few months after the alleged work incident. Never saw a quicker dismissal in my life. Opinion. As I read this, I was trying to figure out what physical activity he would be doing. Thought it would be a sport. Breakdancing is 1,000 times funnier. Story 5. Not an attorney. But one client of ours baffles me to this day. He had multiple cases including aggravated battery and possession of illegal substances. At the insistence of the dude's family, we moved heaven and earth, getting him a bond so that he could get out of jail and live with said family until the case was over. The whole process took weeks. Less than a day after getting out, he was caught stealing $16 worth of batteries from Target. Bond revoked. To be fair, the line between stupidity and compulsion is blurred with this one. Edit. For anyone who's curious, we immediately ordered a psych evaluation for him. He was found competent, but it also confirmed that he had mental health issues. The aggravated battery charge ended up being dropped, and he took a plea for time served. Opinion. Don't commit a misdemeanor while you're committing a felony. Story 6. My wife's lawyer bans all clients from using social media after he lost a big case. Wrongful unaliving lawsuit where a man's wife was unalived. Easy money. They were about to settle until the other side found his picture online from a club a week after his wife got unalived, getting a lap dance wearing a shirt that said, I love MILFS. Apparently they didn't think he had much pain and suffering anymore. Opinion. He should have worn a shirt reading, I miss my wife and this is the only way I can ease my suffering at least a tiny bit. Story 7. Not in the US, but the judge asked if the defendant was remorseful. If you show regrets, you can have some leniency. No, the guy didn't understand the question, and when he doesn't, he just usually says no. Opinion. I think it's dumb that it's even considered because it's so easy to lie and say you regret it. Story 8. The client added 9 years to a short sentence. He got like a year or two for being involved in a drag race, where the other guy crashed and severely injured someone else. Then, towards the end of his short prison term, he tried to escape and got 9 more years for prison escape. He became friends with John Lennon's unaliver in New York prison, which was interesting. Opinion. He probably was about to be out on a lengthy probation after the initial couple of years, and then he ruined any chance of that and got the full sentence for the first crime. Story 9. Not a lawyer. Heard this story from a guy I used to work with. His brother-in-law got injured at work and was suing for a hefty sum. The case was pretty much open and shut. All the evidence was in the brother-in-law's favor, until the brother-in-law started talking. They asked him to tell them about the day of the accident. Brother-in-law started out fine, until he got to the where he approached the piece of equipment that injured him. He told everyone that there was a note on it, stating that it was out of order. Brother-in-law then says that he discarded the note and started up the piece of malfunctioning equipment, as he had a job to get done. The easy win was discarded faster than that out of order sign. Opinion. What? Why would he say that? Story 10. The worst ones are the ones who think they are smarter than they are. When it comes time for depositions, broad sweeping statements of how I would never allow discrimination in my office and how I'm 100% sure I never said that are a great way to destroy your own credibility. Set yourself up to get eviscerated by opposing counsel, and ultimately turn a nuisance value BS case into something worth six figures. Moral of the story: if you're going to ignore the entire day of deposition prep I did with you just so you can protect your own fragile ego on the record, at least do me the courtesy of telling me to F off ahead of time. Opinion. As a general rule in life, when possible, do as much preparation in advance as you can, within reason. Story 11. I had an instructor who was a prosecutor. He called a witness who had seen the whole thing and had an interest in seeing the defendant punished. Slam dunk case. She thought she was on TV. She overacted every word. Completely embellished the retelling of the events. Didn't lie, but she was the center of her version of events. He said you could see the faces of the jury members sour minute to minute. He lost the case. Opinion. A literal case of where just the facts, ma'am, was needed. Story 12. I was defending a client who was accused of trademark infringement. Thought he knew better than the IP attorney assigned to his case, me, and so went on his company's website to defend himself by basically confessing to what he did and claiming it wasn't against the law, and the trademark owner was a woke baby who needed to either learn the law or get back in the kitchen and make her husband a sandwich. I wish I could say I was joking. I was one email away from negotiating a settlement that would have allowed the continued use of the complainant's mark, with limited restrictions and a very nominal fee. Little to say, she saw his website, told us to go F ourselves, and dragged it before a judge. My client lost. Big. His lack of self-control cost him thousands of dollars. Opinion. When your lawyer tells you to keep your mouth shut, you do it. Story 13. Not an attorney. Worked in a firm. Workers' compensation claim. The guy falls down at work and claims he injured many different body parts: shoulder, knees, back. We tell him to stay off social media. No problem, he doesn't use social media. At trial, he tells the judge he used to be a spin class instructor, but since the accident he cannot teach classes anymore. Well, turns out he continued to teach these classes after his injury. This was proved by the hours of surveillance the insurance company did, showing him teaching and vigorously riding in spin class. How did the insurance company know he was still an active instructor? The guy posted his full teaching schedule on his Facebook page. His potentially very lucrative claim was quickly changed to a fraud claim against him. Opinion. It's great when they lie to their own counsel. Story 14. Not me, but a colleague. A wealthy client's son got picked up from illicit substance dealing at a local music festival. The client bailed him out and then had his whole fancy law firm defend his son. The son shambled into the courtroom stoned off his behind and loudly attempted to buy illegal substances off the bailiff. There wasn't a lot the lawyers could do after that. Opinion. How do people like this even survive to adulthood? Story 15. The client was part of a group of active child touchers. One of the others unalived the boy, while several were involved with physically mistreating him. Our guy's defense was that he was just a voyeur. So although he was there, he was not involved in the actual unaliving. He was on bail the whole time, including the trial, up to when he decided to change his story and say instead that he hadn't been there. His sister gave evidence that he had come home that night covered in red bodily fluid. He got a long time. Opinion. Not long enough. Story 16. Did anyone see the video of a guy doing an online court hearing for driving without a license? He answers the call while he's driving, without a license. Opinion. He didn't answer a call. He entered a Zoom chat for his court hearing, asking the judge to hold on a minute while he found a parking spot at his doctor's office. That guy is not the sharpest tool in the shed. Story 17. Recently was in court and apparently part of the requirements of this guy was that he not talk to his family. He called his mother on Mother's Day. The judge said, "Your mother seems to care about your freedom as little as you do. Put the cuffs on him." Edit. I don't know the perimeters of this case. I was just a bystander in court. The lawyer, in sweats, mind you, said, "Oh, Judge, I told her. Can't fix stupid." It was wild to watch. Opinion. That's harsh out of context. But if he had those restrictions, I bet it was because he was in court for threatening some of his family or something. Story 18. Not a lawyer, but I was in a courtroom watching injunctions, restraining orders play out. In one case, the woman was there, but the man was in prison, so he was calling in. After deciding on an agreement, the guy asked if he could make a statement. At the end of his statement, he said, "And tell the woman to go F herself." He got an additional 6 months in prison. The guy asked to make another statement after getting a tongue lashing from the judge. And he did it again, telling her to go F herself, and got another 6 months. Imagine losing a year of your life because you couldn't shut up for 5 minutes. Opinion. Meanwhile, we have public figures just doing whatever they want out here. Getting an additional year in jail for being an idiot for a few minutes just doesn't feel fair. Story 19. I'm not a lawyer, but I used to review disability claims, so I often worked with clients who had lawyers. A man whose attorney had instructed him to not speak with us directly. A very smart, very basic recommendation. Called me up to rant, angrily, that his lawyer was wrong. He could shop for groceries, mow the lawn, and do all sorts of housework just fine. Thank you. Now I had seen this man's medical records. There's no way he was doing all of this without difficulty. So I probed a little further. He could shop for groceries, as long as he used a mobility scooter and had his wife carry things to the house. He could mow the lawn if he used a riding mower and took a lengthy break every 10 minutes or so. He could do housework, which was limited to wiping down counters and folding, but not carrying laundry. I called his attorney and gave them a quick update as soon as he and I hung up. I approved his claim, but that man is so lucky. He got someone who was willing to take an extra 15 minutes with him. Opinion. His pride could have cost him a lot. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to receive notifications to my latest videos.